David?
Mike? David Moore, Dallas Morning News.
Coach McCarthy here. So.
We talked to you about the winter schedule, and you talk about keeping guys fresh. What do you use to strike that balance of keeping guys fresh while still keeping an edge? Is that driven largely by the GPS numbers? Is it also things you see in practice? Or?
Well, I mean, I think first we need to change the term fresh. It's about finding the sweet spot of preparation. You know, I think just like everybody that's done this, you get to this time of year, obviously a lot's gone on to this year, you know, physically what the players have gone through. So, you know, these are things you talk about almost on a daily basis. So how can you continue to prepare your team to win each and every week? And you just got to look at the three categories. You know, it's the physical demand, the emotional demand, and the mental demand. So it's just really regulating that. Everybody has a plan. I mean, it's not like we're doing something that no one else is doing. I mean, I'm sure every head coach is looking at this, but at the end of the day is to make sure you have a plan and preparation that puts us in position to win Sunday night. And you know, that's really the most important part of this. So I've done this a long time. I've been involved in a lot of medical meetings, a lot of research that goes into how we do things, and something that's been built well over a decade. And it works. I'm a huge believer in it, and I think our players see the benefits of it. But at the end of the day, it is about finding that sweet spot to make sure that we're still doing all the little things, especially in the area of the emotional and the mental challenge, to get the details that you need to week in and week out at this time of year.
So you break down emotional and mental differently?
Yes.
What's your dividing line on that?
Dividing line as far as what?
Well, I mean, so mental is just as far as the
well, stress is additive. I mean, we all have stress in our lives. We all have stress in our personal lives. We all have stress in our professional lives. So how do you regulate that? How do you quantify it? What's a better path to try to eliminate some of those factors that are involved? And everybody's different. Everybody has things that are going on in their lives away from work. You have to recognize once it used to be Thanksgiving, for God's sakes, it seems like it's Halloween now. You get into the holiday season. So when does that start? There's added components and variables to everybody's life. But at the end of the day is we're all traveling through this professional journey to win a championship. So I can sit up and say, well, gosh darn, we're going to just stay totally focused and not pay any mind. But that's not reality. I mean, that's not how this world works, and that's not how these men live their lives. Because at the end of the day, if things aren't right and they're not given the opportunity to be energized and do the things in their personal life, well, guess what? They're not going to be as good professionally, and that's the facts of the matter. So, fresh, soft, taken care of. That's really not the dividing factor. The dividing factor is to make sure we're doing what we need to do to continue to grow as a football team. But just looking at the science and looking at, experience to make sure you got a really good plan. And and that's what this is all about. Sorry for being so long. Did I hit the emotional mental part?
Clarence. Let me move to more tangible matters. Clarence.
Tangible.
Clarence, go for us.
Well, I'm insulted, Clarence.
No,
Again by the way. But
not my intent.
Mental or emotional?
Emotional. My fault. Yeah.
The dastardly,
sensitive Irish guy.
The dastardly flu bug is still around.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Gallup, Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah.
Were they back today? And did anybody else contracted?
No. Yeah, those two guys will not be back. They both have something different. So, but we're working with both those guys virtually. So, and I don't have anything finalized, but we've had a couple guys a little bit under the weather. So, as of right now, no one else has been added to that list of not being able to participate in practice yet. So,
Mike Todd Archer with ESPN. Did you put much into the batting average part of targets and receptions?
Batting average?
Yeah, like if a guy
I think all statistics are good. I used to have a statement. I'd say statistics are for losers. That didn't really go over very well, but I think statistics are identifiers. You got to look at them. So to answer your question, I think it's something you have to be cognizant of. But I just think, like it's any statistic, you have to then look at the video. I think statistics are great for categorizing video because the research and the evaluation needs to go deeper than that. So, and that point I'm making is targets are great, but what happened on those targets? What's the why? Why wasn't that target a reception? So I think that's the most important information.
So with CeeDee, I think it's 104 targets and 65 catches. When you review that, how's that combination work?
Well, I think you got to, it goes deeper than the why. It's because now you got individual game plans, you got matchups, you have adjustments that are going on during the game. So, that number can go, either way because of that. So that's why I think it's something you always look at weekly. It's part of the weekly evaluation because at the end of the day, our job as coaches to make sure we're creating opportunities for our players, and that's why I talk so much about ball distribution. You have to get the ball distributed on offense. I mean, if I could paint a picture of ball distribution, it would be the last 2 weeks. We've been 60 and 66 ball distribution in the last 2 weeks. I mean, that's well over 90% of our plays we're getting the ball distributed. Really, the goal is to be north of 75%. So those are the things I look at. But yeah, I think that statistic's more of a starting point.
And one more on CeeDee. You talked about his development this year.
Yeah.
How have you guys helped that development along too as the season's gone on? The coaches in terms of the plan and knowing what he does best, how he fits into this new role as a number one.
Yeah, I mean that's all part of the growth and the different challenges that he's going to see. I mean, is Gilmore going to match him this week? So I mean, it's just every week's a different challenge. So I mean, it's just really the journey that we're on for all the players, and CeeDee especially is creating those opportunities for the flanker, and also his ability to play in the slot, his ability to go in the backfield. So just trying to be as creative and make sure he's getting his opportunities.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. I know your winter schedule, you got a shorter practice. How did that go yesterday? Was it what you wanted to see?
It wasn't our best practice. I don't think that was tied to the winter schedule. I think it was a little bit of time off. I think just like anything, the energy was terrific. I mean, the weather was outstanding. Fresh air, being out there. So I love that whole part of it. But we just weren't as clean as we like, and that's sometimes the way Wednesdays go. So I'm looking forward to a better practice today.
Diggs and Gallup and any of your guys, I assume they're all getting tested for COVID. I assume. So is this do they have the flu or do they have COVID?
Well, I mean, I'm not really going to get into the specifics. I mean, there are, I think 3 different things we've been dealing with, as far as what's going around. So I mean, Jim Maurer does an outstanding job with our medical staff. So I mean, he's really was part of why we took the time and the way we did, the schedule coming off of the Thanksgiving game, and really some of the things we did going into the Thanksgiving game. So, the ability to go virtual and those types of things, and so we're playing the game of mathematics, and we're just being very cautious. If a guy's not feeling well, I mean, we're not just saying come on in. He's got to be evaluated. So, going through the pandemic has been an education for all of us, and I think that experience really serves us well. So, but Jim is on top of that, and it's like I said, it's a constant conversation.
Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio, statistics again. On your personal list of relevant team statistics, where does scoring differential rank?
Well, it's huge. I think quarterback rating differential is another one too that you can pay attention to too. But yeah, scoring differential is important. I think anytime you have a team, I go back to 2009. I think anytime you have a football team that's in both the offense and defense are in the top 10, in the scoring category, that's a balanced football team. There's a lot to look at. I'm sure once you dive inside of those statistics, you're going to see a lot of positive productivity.
Michael Gelfand, Dallas Morning News. You've spoken highly of this coaching staff in the past. I'm just curious, what about this staff do you really like and value and see as its strength and just the day-to-day with this group?
I like the design of it. I think we have an excellent balance of well, the first thing I like the people. I like the quality of men. I think it's important. You have to go well beyond the resume. Fit is critical to any coaching staff. So I really like the personal makeup of our guys. There's no one that I go home at night I'm worried about. I mean, that's obviously part of the hiring process. I get it, but so number one, I like the people. Number two, I do like the design of it. As far as the experience, the balance of experience and youth is something I've always believed in. I've always tried to emulate almost the players roster, because I think you have to have growth and development on your coaching staff, no different than you do, with your players. So I like the way the older guys help the younger guys, and I love the way the younger guys push the older guys with the creativity. I think, going back to, all the virtual, education that we all had to go through. I think our young guys really stepped up and made us better there. I think that's a big part of it. I like the way the cross the hall has become a permanent fixture, in our coaching staff. You see a lot of, Dan Quinn stepping into the, quarterback room, talk about, Gus Bradley, those things. So it's, we promote it, but is one thing, but it's happening. So, and I just think that's so valuable because, being a young coach, I go back to my Kansas City days. I still can't believe that, I sat in a room with Marty Schottenheimer, Paul Hackett, Alex Gibbs, Jimmy Ray, Al Saunders. I mean, Joe Montana, Dave Craig. I just think of the experience that I was exposed to as a young 29-year-old kid that just got in the NFL. That was impactful. There's so many lessons you learn from that. So those are the things that I try to help push forward. Sometimes, guys may get tired of hearing a story, but there's so much more about the game of football than just the plays, the origin of the plays, the design, the history. Every play in this league has a history, has a starting point, and scheme just is it's a big cycle. You'll see schemes come in the league, and you'll see them go back out. And it's the why. Why is everybody running the ball so much now? Those kind of things. So just being fortunate to grow up in the Kansas City days and build a foundation like that, I think is so impactful. So I hope I'm giving that back to our guys, because that's something I am very conscientious of.
Hi, Kaylee Sutton, DallasCowboys.com. We spoke with a reporter from Indianapolis yesterday, and one of the things she told us was that with Jeff Saturday, he spent a lot of his time as head coach delegating responsibilities. Can you draw any parallels or any relation to that when you first joined the Cowboys organization as far as delegating those responsibilities in places maybe you felt someone else would be more fit?
I don't even know how we can compare those situations. I think when you're hired in January, it's a lot different than being hired in November. So I don't even know if I could speak on that, because I have no idea how they're even operating, so as far as who's doing what.
Scott?
Scott Dixon with the AP. How does it look for Anthony Barr playing Sunday?
Looks good. Thought he had a good day yesterday, so he'll take a little more today. So he's Anthony's on a rep count on Wednesdays normally, but now he's coming back off of his injury. But I thought he looked good yesterday.
Mike and Trayvon and DeMarcus get a lot of attention, obviously, on your defense, but what have the other guys not named those three meant to that group and what they meant? We got so many playmakers. And it's just really kind of tying into the answer earlier. It's about creating opportunities. We talked about Dorrance, I think yesterday, and look at Dante Fowler. You look at some of those numbers, look at some of those statistics, but you also look at the impact. Sam Williams. Our secondary is playing at an incredibly high level. Anthony Brown should be recognized. He's coming back obviously after the the injury there in Green Bay. But I just think we have so many our safeties. Jaron Kearse. Look at the type of year he's having. He's another one that should probably get a lot more attention than he gets. So Malik Hooker. So you're looking at a defense that the biggest challenge is the competition from within, and that's a great place to be as a defense. Have you had that before in spots?
Competitive wise, yeah, no, absolutely. I think when you look at, whether it's an offense or defense, you want that competitiveness and that playmaking ability on all three levels. The front, the second level, and then the secondary, and I think we definitely have that.
John Shaw, The Athletic. What did you take away from James Washington practice yesterday? How do you think he looked?
I like James' work. Actually did a little more than, we probably anticipated. Actually, I'm going to cut him back about 10% today just to, just kind of watching his numbers. But he felt good. Spoke to him this morning. Physical, strong, just got the, particularly in, some one-on-one opportunities he had to bump and run. You could really see his strength. So I thought he had a nice day. Good? All right. Statistics.